So in this video, we're going to cover how you do calculations based around the idea of excess. This question says, calculate the mass of carbon dioxide that is obtained when 4 grams of carbon is burned in 8 grams of oxygen. We know there's an excess element involved because it gives us information about both the carbon and the oxygen. So we need to find out which one of these is controlling the reaction and therefore controlling how much CO2 is actually made. So you'll normally be given the balanced equation. The first thing you'll do is get the number of moles of each reactant using your N equals M over GFM. So for the carbon, this is 4 divided by 12, because 12 is your gram formula mass of carbon. So you just plug that in your calculator, 4 divided by 12, and that is 0.3 moles. You'll then do the same and get the number of moles of oxygen, still using M over GFM. So that is 8 over 16, and that's going to be 0.5 moles. At this point, we need to then compare the carbon and the oxygen. So from the balanced equation, we can see that 1 mole of carbon would need 1 mole of oxygen. You can then choose either the carbon or the oxygen here. I'm just going to pick carbon because I've written that first. We have 0.3 moles of carbon. So because this is a 1-to-1, we would need 0.3 moles of oxygen. And I encourage you to write that word need. You're then going to compare that to what you calculated you have up here. You calculated you only have 0.5. Now when you compare, you can see you have more than you need. So that tells us that oxygen is in excess and it is the carbon that is limiting. That means the carbon is controlling the reaction. Now a lot of excess questions will just stop here. They're literally asking you what is in excess, or maybe you would have to prove that the oxygen is in excess and it's in excess by 0.2. That's how much you've got left over. They might ask you to turn that number of moles back into a mass. But this question is asking us how much carbon dioxide would have been made. That is where you then use your 3-column method. And you say, right, the first column, I know that it's the carbon because that's limiting, that's controlling the reaction. And I want to prove how much CO2 would have been made. And in the middle, as always, you've got your ratio. We've already done N for carbon and we got that to be 0.3 moles. We calculated that up here. Our ratio is again 1-to-1 from our balanced equation. 1 mole of carbon would give 1 mole of CO2. So based on that then, 0.3 would need 0.3. So we know N for the CO2 is 0.3 moles. We can get the GFM is going to be 44 grams. So mass is number of moles times GFM. So you're going to be 0.3 times 44. And that is 13.2 grams. And that's you done.